Right now, we've got Liberty Lilly coming on, and she has her mother with her because Lily is, of course, underage. But she has an interesting story because she kind of fired up her school and did some good things. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Let's start out with Mom. You introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then kick Lily into it.
I'm Katie, and I'm just Liberty Lily's mom. I mean, there's really nothing more to it. She's the star.
Just just her mom,
She's the
huh?
one who taught me all about politics, and same with my dad, but he's currently in Las Vegas working a job. Um, but my parents are probably the most important people in my life right now, and I want to thank my mom and my dad for um, teaching me about the Constitution and for helping me on my crazy journey.
Well,
um,
tell us about this crazy journey. Tell us about.
yeah, so in third grade, I was pretty interested in learning about politics, and my dad and I would always have these conversations every night about like different questions about the government, what are good laws and bad laws. And I remember, I'm not kidding. I was serious. I was like, "Daddy, can you please read me a bedtime story like the Constitution?" And he was like, "Okay." So yeah,
Really?
I was very interested in politics. And the reason why I picked my name, Liberty Lily, is because that's my reason. Because I want to have a daughter named Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part of the preamble of the Constitution is, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And my posterity starts with liberty.
Can we hang on a second? This is a 13-year-old saying this stuff to us.
Weren't you like
I
that
know.
at 13, Jared?
Oh, you better believe it. Man, I might have liked the word preamble if it was written on a bike. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us what happened. What brought you to where you are? What tell us the story of the school that you shared
Oh
with us the
yeah.
other day.
Okay, so
She's in eighth grade.
I'm in eighth grade,
Yeah.
and I remember somewhere in October 2021, Let's Go Brandon started up, and I finally had a way to say I hated the president without swearing. So
Yeah.
I was pretty intrigued by that, and I started passing out. I bought these stickers with my own money that say "Let's Go Brandon" on them, and I passed them out to all of my friends at school and some random kids, and like we became really close. Um, and the staff at my school wanted to figure out who's passing out these stickers, and they
Yeah, she
felt
stayed
insulted.
hidden for like 2 weeks. I mean, they were like, "Who did this? Who's doing this?" And they're looking everywhere, like, "We, you know what?" And so finally, the teacher stood up, and it's like, "I will bribe you all with sodas. Somebody tell me who's doing this."
I
Really?
don't know who snitched on me, or maybe they found security camera footage of me passing out stickers.
Oh.
But eventually I was caught, and it was inevitable. Um, so my counselor gave me this note, and she's like, "Come to my office and talk to me when you're free." And I'm like, "Okay." So, somewhere in November, I came to her office, and we sat down and talked. And so then I was like, "I'll tell you a little bit about the stickers because I know you want to know about that. I'm the one who started it. I've been buying them with my own money, and this is how I express myself. And I'm defended by the Constitution, and I don't know why you're bringing me here." And she's like, "Well, we're worried about the school property being vandalized by them, you know?" And I'm like, "I've been telling my peers when I give them stickers, I'm like, hey, these stickers are for your property only. Don't stick them on school property because then we'd have a reason to be like
Mm-hmm.
taken into
Yeah,
office."
and in fact, when she brought up the idea of buying the stickers, she goes, "Mom, I want to use my own money. I've already thought this out. I'm not going to put it on school property. I'm only going to give them to kids who say I'm going to keep it on my personal property, and only after they agree will I give them the stickers." And she presented a pretty responsible plan to me. So I said, I'm going to see how this plays out, because it's like, who am I to step on her constitutional rights either, right? If I want to be a good example of the things that she's learning, then I got to live it too.
I like it. It's a good example.
Especially since, all right, Lily, you have to understand though. Yes, you are correct to tell your friends, do not put this on other people's property, because stickers do damage property. And in order to maintain our civilized society, we do.
She saw one on the floor and one on a table, I think. And she said that the janitors had trouble scraping it off the floor. And I was like, okay, I'll keep watch. I'll make sure that any stickers I see, I'll throw away, okay? Any stickers on school property, of course. And but I'm still going to keep the stickers on my own property, and that's how I express myself. And I'm not willing to throw away my stickers because it's on my own property.
This isn't the first time that she has been in the office, requesting help or having problems or having discussions about politics.
Yeah, that's true.
This wasn't the first time. And so I remember her counselor saying, well, the last time you were in here, you were requesting a new history teacher because your teacher was so biased and was disrespecting your political beliefs. And she said, but bringing these stickers to school is also bias. Have you considered that? And do you remember what you said? You said, well, basically like, well, if I'm going to be a voter in the future, yes, I need to be given both sides of the story.
I might as well be politically involved. And I look at both sides of the story before I decide this has more evidence and more facts and less opinions on it. And so this is the side I'm on.
Yeah. So she did tell the counselor, she said, I do expect my teachers to teach me both sides so that I'm well informed. And she said, but as for me, I've picked a side and I'm okay with that.
Right. And Lily, remember, those teachers that are on the other side, think of it this way. If you're going to train in the Olympics, it's better to swim upriver and become stronger rather than just drift downstream. So always look at those opportunities to say, okay, I'm going to accept where I am in life. I'm in this class. It's mandatory by law that I take this class. This is the teacher that life has provided for me. I'm going to observe and listen to what that teacher has to say and take notes and look for those opportunities to make rebuttals. And then the next day after you do your research, go in and impress the class. You're a public speaker. Go ahead and speak and point out the incorrect historical notations that those teachers point out to the class as education, and kind of enjoy it, because that's part of the process of becoming political. Is you got to enjoy what you're doing. You kind of have to have a taste for it, and it sounds like you do.
Yeah, she does.
Well,
One of the times that she'd been in the office, she came in and said, I'm being taught that
Columbus is a villain.
That Columbus is racist, and she was required to write
an argument essay like, is Columbus a hero or a villain? And they gave me these like 5 different sources, and they're like, just use these sources.
Yeah, please don't use any other sources.
Yeah, and I'm like, I kind of have a bad feeling about this. So I looked at some primary sources. I looked at some of their tertiary sources. They did use a couple primary sources like Columbus Journal. And I tried my best to find good annotations of like the good things and bad things he did. There was a lot of pro Columbus evidence was like really hard to understand for most students. And so they were like, yeah, obviously he's a villain. Like, it's easier to understand these sources than those sources. So
that's
yeah,
interesting.
You draw that conclusion.
Every standard norm of that society was an opportunist who actually accomplished a discovery and didn't fade into the footprints of history, like, when waves wash over footprints on the beach, because he discovered America. He was actually successful. How many explorers were just like Columbus? Probably all of them. But Columbus was the one that actually did get financing from Spain and made it over here. So was he a hero? Was he a villain? Or was that just the
He was
way?
just a curious explorer.
That's just
And
the
I
way they
think
were.
he's human. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm a villain. I'm a hero. Like, I'm human. Anyway, when Lily said, I just don't feel right about the way that my teachers were saying only use these sources.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
It seemed a
encouraged
little
her.
fishy.
I encouraged her. I said, well, go find sources that you can discover. Like, just Google this. It takes 5 seconds. Well, she ended up stumbling upon a 400-page book and essentially skimmed most of that 400-page book in the next 24 hours.
Gobs and gobs of evidence. And I feel like they left out a lot of important facts about Columbus, and this wasn't a tertiary source like most of the things they gave us. This was a primary source.
Yeah, his journals. She really dug into those journals, and she said, if this is an okay source, then that's where I'm going to go. But I'm going to look for myself what's in the journal.
Well, you've got his journals. There's the journals of what was it, a friar that was with him, and the friar is really the one that they like to ignore, because he talks about I don't know, I'm digging into archaic history. I haven't studied in a while, but a lot of the up close and personal atrocities that happened under Columbus happened while he was sick on the ship with they believe probably like a New World food poisoning or something.
Yeah.
And he was sick on the ship for, after they landed, he was bedridden on the ship for I think a month or something. And a lot of the guys on the ship did some, pretty heinous things. And of course he takes a hit for that, which he was the captain, which is understandable, but it is what was that? Howard Zinn kicked off the rewriting of American, we should go with all American history, and that seems to be the tempo that we want to live in nowadays. So
I think it's interesting that your teacher wanted to narrow the scope of the research to a few specific sources. Yeah. Was that just because the teacher was versed in those sources, or because the teacher wanted to limit the experience for the students?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I will say that the outcome of that particular assignment was that she ended up by herself finding more positive than negative. So she wrote that in the report. She was given a D because she had more positive than negative.
I couldn't find any bad evidence except the tertiary sources she gave us, which I didn't have a good gut feeling about, and I was like, yeah, I don't know.
So when the teacher gave you a D,
I still put some of these in my argument essay as kind of a rebuttal, like a counter argument, and then I came up with a rebuttal after that. But I didn't think he was a bad guy.
Well, especially not for his time. I mean,
yeah. And slavery was a very common thing back then, and that was
we could talk about how the Catholic Church viewed slavery, that when you introduced Catholicism to them, they owed you a penance for giving them the good word. So what did you approach the teacher after she gave you a D, or did you, Mom, or what did you guys do?
We didn't say anything.
No, I said, I said, when you're talking about primary and secondary sources, I said, if you're going to be using quotes from people who actually personally knew Columbus, I said, then you based your report on truth. And I'm proud of your grade because it's based on truth, So we let that one go. But she has had different run-ins with the office because, she had a teacher who is very biased against her political beliefs. And now the Let's Go Brandon stickers. And in fact, there's so much more to the Let's Go Brandon stickers thing too, because definitely she said, how did it go from there?
So she was like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I look at both sides and then I decide depending on how much evidence. And I also remember asking her, like, where does the school get its curriculum from? And she's like, the district. And I was like, where does the district get its information from? The government? I've heard it gets, information from the federal government. And she's like, no, I don't know what you're learning. That's propaganda. She's like, no, we don't get our information from the government. The district makes up its own information. I'm like, so you're saying that the district just goes, oh, this looks like a good thing. Let's mess with this information a little bit and make it the curriculum. And she's like, no. We base it off of true facts, and our curriculum is as good as it's gonna get. And I'm like, okay.
She just kind of changed the subject from there.
Do you have any information, evidence that proves my government point wrong? And she's like, well, and she just takes a drink out of her water bottle and she's like, let's move on.
So
we're
this
talking
was
about
your
Let's Go Brandon stickers here, okay?
this was your teacher. So obviously this teacher was upset that you made these
this was
stickers.
actually one of the counselors. Yeah, so she's
Oh.
dealing with the office about the Let's Go Brandon
Yeah.
stickers type issue, and really the counselor could only come up with, well, these stickers are vulgar and
Vulgar.
Yeah, and I was
They're
like,
not
they're not
vulgar.
vulgar. They just say Let's Go Brandon. She's like, it means something vulgar. And I
She's
said, but I'm not actually swearing. And it also means more than just, I hate Joe Biden. It means more than that, because it's like the way I brought unity to school. And that's why people at the bus stop were cheering, Let's Go Brandon, for, a minute or two. And the school's like, oh, we don't have a safe environment. They can't, like, what about the other side? What about the students that are Biden supporters? Do they feel hurt? And, like, yeah, it was stupid.
So the actual administration of that school brought up the fact that there's not a safe space for the other side in a formal conversation with you or publicly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which in fact, she had two run-ins with the office before they decided to call mom. Didn't get anywhere with mom. Called dad. Didn't get anywhere with dad. It's just this ongoing thing. Like,
yeah. So the day after I talked to my lady counselor, this other counselor saw me with my sticker on, and he was like, "Oh, hey, I need you to take that sticker off." And I said, "No." And he was like, "Excuse me, do you need to go to the office?" And I said, "If we have to." And so he sits me down across from him and he's like, "Okay, so I've heard a little bit about these stickers. I've seen them on people and I'm getting kind of concerned that maybe, the other side doesn't have a place to share their opinions. Maybe they don't feel safe." And I'm like, well, have you had any talks with the LGBTQ supporters? Like, they leave their glitter all over the desks. They vandalize the bathroom toilet paper dispensers with, like, "Long live the lesbians" or something. And I'm like, have you had talks with them? And he's like, we've talked to a few of them. Like, we do see vandalism. That's a common thing. Their glitter isn't much of a problem. We've talked to, like, a few of them and they have good reasons. And he's like, well, you see, Let's Go Brandon is putting down somebody and LGBTQ is, like, raising up a community. And he's like, they support people and your stickers put down a person. And he's like, specifically our president, who we should show respect to. And I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And he's like, take your sticker off. And I said, no, I'm not taking my sticker off. And he said, take it off, or do you want to go home? And I do have respect for this man. I was pretty close to him, actually, for quite a while. And I was like, okay, I'll take it off this time. And I said, but the news will really love to hear a story about a school counselor violating an 8th grade girl's constitutional rights. And he was like, I'm just doing my job. I could get fired if I don't take your sticker off. And I'm like, then that's really sad. And you should probably have a talk with the government about this.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it left, he called me right after. And he said, Lily was in here. She took it off, but she's not agreeing to comply for future days. You need to have a talk with her and tell her to not bring these stickers to school. And I said, I can encourage my daughter, but I'm pretty sure she really knows, she understands her rights. And he said, well, I'm worried that this is going to be a distraction in school. And I said, I can see why it would be a distraction, because the teacher is stopping her class. She's choosing to let it be a distraction. And I said, I can see why it would be a distraction in school, because you're taking my daughter out of her classes and having discussions with her when she could be in class learning. It's just a choice. The teachers can choose to ignore it and it won't become a problem. And I said, something you might not understand about Lily is that, so she's in 8th grade when the sticker thing happened. I said, last year in 7th grade, she was having a really hard time finding friends because she was straight. And I said, she would try to join different friend groups and they would say, you can't sit with us because you're straight. She's like, aren't you guys about diversity and inclusion? Like, why are you not including me?
Exactly.
And they're like, you don't fit here.
What do you mean? Like, was it that we shouldn't have marked this for kids. We're going to get hit for this one for sure. But was it?
Well, this is a kid experience. This is
seriously
what kids are experiencing in school.
For sure.
We're drifting into territory. We're going to get hit for this. But no, I agree with you. But YouTube is counselor at your school.
Just don't say gay, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah. But is it that are these other your peers, are they is it like a trend they're all jumping on? And
I feel like it's all just a trend. Like, my friend recently broke up with her boyfriend because she's like, oh, you know what? I kind of have crushes on girls now, and I don't really want to be with a boy, so I'm just going to join this crazy train over there.
Where's this trend coming from?
That's a great question.
What is it?
Is
it driven by the students or by the adults? Or
it's probably TikTok, actually. The students most of them have TikTok, and that's where they get like the LGBTQ trend on. And also TikTok's been like putting out these challenges to vandalize the school or like tip over the soap dispensers, and it's just getting crazier. And like the school has sent out emails, don't follow the TikTok trends, and like they'll do it anyway and they'll get in huge trouble.
How does I have TikTok and I don't see a lot of that stuff come across mine. Granted, most of mine are puppies and little goats and stuff, but
that's telling, Jared.
I know. But
He's got some weird fetishes.
But why I tend to not follow teenager TikTok, I guess.
Yeah. It's probably a good thing.
Well, and that's, nothing against teenagers. I was one at one time, and there's not a dumber animal on the planet, But do you think that's kicking the trend off? Is this something that's just recent in your experience, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so I started to see more of it in 6th and 7th grade. 8th grade, you just see it everywhere. It's like a normal thing. You
really
pass by someone that's like holding hands with another girl or so. I've seen 2 boys kiss in the hallway. It's just getting really weird, and I don't feel comfortable at school. But this year I was like, Mom, no, I don't want to be homeschooled. I have a feeling that I should be at school, even though it's getting bad. I just have a feeling that I'm called to do this. And then Let's Go Brandon came out.
And
Like,
it's been a wild ride. I mean, this
Oh.
year's been a really wild ride.
What?
And when I was talking to the staff member in the office, you know, he's like, what do you mean she's not included in gay groups? And I said, well, there tends to be a hallway where all of the gay people hang out before school. And if Lily passes through this hallway, they actually stop her like they're bodyguards. And they say, what business do you have being in this hallway?
yeah.
And they're like,
Today
are
I
you
have,
gay?
like-
Are you gay?
Yeah,
Why should
last
you come in
year-
here?
Last year I didn't have like any gay friends. This year I'm starting to get along with them because I'm friends with people and they're friends with them. So I
Well,
have a lot of good friends that are part of that. And I don't want to come off as rude to them. I love them no matter
Yeah.
what.
There's nothing
But
wrong
I don't
with.
support what they're doing.
There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with gay people. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna say this. I don't support any 13-year-old exploring or being taught those
Sexuality.
adult themed things at all. And I say this as a father and an uncle and a neighbor and just a human being. But this stuff, it seems like it's a late fad, and I'm wondering where it's coming from. What's the reaction?
Jared, do you remember the show The Next Bust on MTV? Maybe because this was
You've
this was when
mentioned
I
this
was young.
before.
When I was young in MTV, they had this thing called The Next Bus.
When MTV quit playing music, I quit watching MTV.
Well, this is how the theme
Agreed.
of the show works, right? So you had a bunch of girls on the bus, and there was a guy, and as the girls come off the bus, or the guys, it could be reversed. Normally, it was girls on the bus or boys on the bus, and then the opposite sex outside. And then you'd be like, all right, yeah, I want to meet that person. I don't want to meet that person as they come off the bus. And then you know how those reality shows go. And then all of a sudden, maybe 2 years later, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, there's guys on the bus and there's guys on the outside of the bus. And they normalize the homosexuality and
It's doing
kind
that
of
in Disney
glamorize
kids
it.
shows too.
Say
What's
that again?
It's doing that in Disney shows too for kid
Mhm.
Well,
cartoons.
what I'm wondering is where this is coming from. Is it a push or maybe an overcorrection? Because, when I was in school, Jesus was walking with us when I was in school. But when I was in school, it wasn't common to see this stuff, and people would probably, well, we did have a couple that maybe being out wasn't the word, but everyone knew, and they knew everyone knew, and everyone dealt with it,
Mhm.
and they didn't get teased for it, and none of that. But it wasn't made a thing. But maybe it's an overcorrection. So
Dude, I think so too.
the all the entertainment systems and the adults in the school system, and all the people that manage kind of manage the barricades around the youth, except for the parents. It doesn't seem like parents are doing this. It seems like it's people who aren't parents who are doing this, or at least they're fine with doing it to kids that aren't their own. But it seems like accolades are given. When I was in school, if you wanted to get a clap or an applause, you had to become good at something, good at a sport or art or reading or writing or
Right.
something else. And it seems like right now, coming out is that quick and easy way to get adornment in school. And it's going to pass pretty soon. That you're going to have to do something radical, like, some public display of how weird you are to get that applause. And then the people who are just coming out are like, oh my gosh, now I've got to learn to sing or draw or something, in 10 years time. But I'm wondering where this is going and what the ultimate end is. Because right now, and maybe it's not a bad thing, my generation, if you explored in the past as a young man, probably makes people go, all right, you were broken as a kid, and maybe get a little judged. Where in the future, maybe it'll be normalized. I'm not saying it's good, but it will allow people to have done that and survive better. But I'm wondering where this ends up at. Where does this go? Because it seems like it's on a ever upward or ever outward. Outward, is that the right word? Or we're running towards a cliff, and I'm wondering what's on the bottom of that.
Here's another
Cliff.
question I'd like to pose. So in my day, if we were caught with our girlfriend in the hallway, we would be, you know, the teacher would say something. It's like, hey,
Yes.
stop that. None of that. My question is, in the gay hallway, are the teachers saying, hey, stop that. Don't do that?
No. Unless you count like putting glitter on the floor or desks, but like
What's with the glitter? Is that a
It's a
it's a big thing.
That's a respiratory hazard if you breathe it in. By
yeah? You're gonna
I
make
know that's why they wear masks.
you're gonna make Safety Dave go all conniption if he hears about glitter. Glitter takes forever to get out.
oh gosh, it doesn't ever.
yeah. And before I get blamed as being a parent who's very like one-sided, I mean, I've gone on double dates with gay couples. I'm taking my children to a gay wedding in a week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's
I mean, that's why
nothing.
she was so
We're
shocked.
still
Honestly,
like,
that's why she was so
respectful of the gay community,
shocked when she
but
goes, "What do
we
you mean you don't want me as a friend?" She's just like, "You guys are all about inclusion. Like
Yeah.
I have friends who are, you know,
even
so-
though I'm straight, they might not support what I'm doing as a straight person, but like I still want them to know that I love them and I have good friends that are in the gay community and we still respect each other even though we have different views on the world.
Mm.
yeah."
Well,
So when
there are whispers on the wind of a population collapse oncoming in the next, 10, 15 years. So this
You know,
might be it.
I think that if a teenager cannot tell where this popularity for the culture is coming from, I think that's very telling. I think that's a red flag. If they don't know where it's coming from, then they don't know enough about it maybe to participate.
I agree. And I'm
Maybe
all
they're not well informed enough to know if they really want to go that direction. Now, I mean, who am I to judge? But I think that's a red flag.
I'm all for acceptance of them. I don't even say them. They're just people like us. I'm all for acceptance. But
Them,
what
they?
I'm, yeah, of they them. What I'm concerned about is, it seems like with this drive to accept them, they're driving open sexuality into our youth more and more. Which
She made that point. Yeah, she made
Yeah,
that point to her counselor. In
Yeah.
fact, she
I
said,
know, like
she's like, "You're saying my sticker is,
it's
inappropriate."
vulgar, but have you seen what the other kids talk about at school?
Yeah, that the Love is Love crowd. She's like, they're kind of promoting promiscuity. She
And,
said it in a much more vulgar term that we can't say on YouTube that shocked
Yeah.
the person she was talking to. But
Yeah.
she's like, that is what they're saying. That is what they're doing. Like, that is what this is,
Mhm.
So in my conversation with the guy
Oh yeah,
from the
so,
office, I said, have you taken in any of these Love is Love people for that specific phrase? And he's like, oh no, I never.
I
would.
don't
It's
know
just-
what that phrase is. What
What is it supposed to mean?
Maybe
that-
we shouldn't go into it. Maybe you can tell us a different time.
You can love anyone for any reason and any gender, no matter what.
Oh,
That love is what wins, regardless of promiscuity
but
or
they mean
age.
like the romantic love, and that's a little awkward.
Mm,
but-
I'm
Which I do
telling you,
feel-
when you get a little older, when you hit about 16, 17, read a book called Forever War, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, this guy was he was prophetic. Just remember that for 5 years from now.
So Lily, have you taken any speaking events yet to
Yeah.
explore your situation with the adults and teach them about what's really going on?
I have spoken at a couple of truck rallies.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she did. So you've spoken at, well, actually, she's participated in 3 different rallies now.
Oh yeah,
Good.
including the appeal to heaven that we
Mhm.
we all met in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. I don't know. I'm concerned that our education system's going to collapse in on itself with its own hubris. It seems like right now, from what you're telling me, is the education that you're gaining from school that is being judged with a D in your grade is something that you're pursuing on your own. And the people and the departments that we are paying to give you that are falling short of that.
It's an important lesson to also learn that teachers always do, well, not always, but a lot of teachers do grade on a bias. So when I was in college, I had a teacher in this history class, and I had to write a paper. I chose Leonardo da Vinci as my subject matter. I got a 65 on the paper. But the year after that, I was dating a girl. She had the same course, and she had to write a paper. She chose the subject of like some sort of grain of rice, how it changed everything in the Chinese Empire. And I wrote the paper for her. She got an 85. So, I mean, I don't think...
Was the bias because you were dating a girl turned it in, or was the bias because the professor really had a thing for rice?
I don't know. Well, he was Indian, so it actually could
your
be.
subject matter is more interesting. You're like one single grain of rice can change the world. I mean, that's sellable. That's sellable.
That's true. And
But-
maybe you got better at writing too. Have you ever thought of that? It's a year later.
Yeah. No, I'll stick with my
I can see why you'd
original
be
conclusion.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's interesting that they gave you a class on an individual, to study an individual, and they gave you a prescribed outline so you came to the conclusion they wanted, but you
Yeah, I
expanded
know.
your mind by digging deeper and finding out more. I would say you got punished for that, but you walk away with a better depth of knowledge of history because of that.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Is that the
Mhm.
knowledge is in your brain. So I call it a success. This month was Black History Month. For
Mhm.
Lily.
I had to do an English assignment. I was scratching on the door. You have a dog.
Yeah, so do I.
Anyway, so
Well,
I had to do an English assignment about my teacher posted this video of this spoken poet. He did spoken poetry, and he was up on stage, and he was this black dude that was like, "Oh yeah, and we should be more like George Floyd," and what was her name, like Breonna Taylor, was it?
Breonna
Like
Taylor,
he was like,
yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah, and Jacob Blake." He's like, "We should stand up. We should be those types of blacks." I'm like, whoa, do you know what you're talking about?
On
George
fentanyl or
Floyd
selling
wasn't
fentanyl?
just killed
Yeah.
because, like, by a policeman. He was high on multiple
Yeah.
illegal
Mhm.
drugs, and he was also a criminal. And
She's like, I don't want to be more like him.
I don't want to celebrate George Floyd. And in fact, like, we're
Good
quite
for you.
religious.
Mhm.
And that's like why we're doing politics, because we feel like God called us to do this.
Mhm.
And specifically, so we watched this YouTube video, and there's this recording of a lightning bolt hitting just George Floyd on this brick wall.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I saw that. That is
And I'm like, I swear that God is behind all this. There's no possible way that could ever happen. Like,
so.
I mean, there is probably a possible way that could happen, but the probability is extremely low. And like, once you think about it, how was the world created? What happened to the universe? You know, all behind that. I'm like, we're always going to come to the explanation. Yeah, there must be a God. And for those out there who aren't religious, like, I don't know, just that's why I feel called.
Well,
because I'm religious.
So they had you do a report on a poet.
Yeah. And
Now,
she was like,
I
how does
just-
this poem make you feel?
I
What is
just wanna
different
throw
about
this out.
poem?"
Had at any time in school they made me read poetry, I would have moaned louder than anything. That is the boringest thing ever. Granted, I know you're supposed to learn it, but that just sounds awful, let alone one that says something. Now, had he talked about the Harlem Renaissance or Black Wall Street, something like that, I dig learning history, but listening to especially a modern day poet.
Especially promoting people like George Floyd and criminality in general. I mean,
And
That's concerning.
a modern day poet.
Yeah.
This
I'm
honestly,
sending my child to public school, and she's learning.
I know.
Hold
I
on,
remember
hold on.
showing
No,
my
no.
mom. Yeah, so I remember
everyone
coming
who
home. I'm like,
everyone
girl
who
has such a
owns a
funny
home
name.
in the state of Utah is paying that teacher for that.
yeah,
Honestly.
I don't support that.
Yeah, that's awful.
But they make us pay taxes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I think brings it back to that point where she goes, "Where are you guys getting this curriculum? Is the government giving you this curriculum? Is the government the one who is encouraging me to become more like George Floyd?
I
who
don't
had a
know where you
long-
got that propaganda. That's so fake.
Is that what
He
they
had-
said?
Yeah.
they did. Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah.
man.
Yeah.
so where do we go from here, Lily? What happens next? What's your next move? Have you thought about it?
So, anyway, my dad was called by my man counselor, and he was like,
about the
um,
Let's Go Brandon
yeah,
sticker.
about the Let's Go Brand
Yeah.
stickers, and he's like, "Oh yeah, so we need this school to be a safe place. We should probably, make a safe space for other people to say their own opinions without being drowned out in the crowd by these Let's Go Brandon fans." And he goes on and on. My dad's like, "You want a safe place for my daughter, so maybe don't constrict her freedom of speech. Don't violate the constitutional rights she has." And he's like, "If you want this school to be a safe place for all students, don't constrict their freedom of speech."
Well, he said, "Well, it's becoming a problem because it's very loud out at the bus stop and people can't hear."
Mhm.
And he said, "I'm really not surprised by that." He said, because she was just wearing it peacefully to express herself peacefully, and you wouldn't allow it. And so she needs to express herself, and now it's louder. And he said, "You kind of brought this on yourself."
Yeah.
Good.
And we're actually seeing that same thing right now over at the Salt Lake City Capitol right here in Utah.
Mhm.
Our buddy Mike goes in. There's 100 people or something in the
Mhm.
room. They're talking about the bill HB 60.
Yeah.
There's probably 60 people or something wearing this sticker to just help their representatives know which way they want to vote. They're quietly wearing a sticker that says yes to HB 60.
Wait a second. Stickers are violence.
So so I said, okay, hold on. See, I could go 5 different directions with this right now. You're getting me riled up. But our buddy Mike was asked to remove his sticker when he was inside the Senate building.
He's the one that was arrested, that was put in
Yeah,
He
handcuffs,
was
arrested, and then
Because
slightly
his shirt was too
on the
political.
It
side
said, "We the
charged and
people."
charged and released. Yeah. That is a story I want to cover. Matter of fact, when we're done recording this, I would like to reach out to that guy, and I want to talk to that representative who threw him out. What was the one from Draper? Is that where it's from?
Could you imagine having to be a cop and
Or
do that?
Riverton?
I mean, why do our cops commit suicide? Probably because they know they're being Nazis.
But they were
Yeah.
ordered out over a sticker. I mean, the First Amendment,
Right.
and this is a Republican state rep who did this.
Right.
So this beating up on the Constitution doesn't lie only with the Democrat Party.
We got all these phone calls from her school, and she's been into the office multiple times about these stickers and just on and on. And we sat down with her and we just said, "Lily, I promised the office that I would encourage you to not bring these stickers anymore." I said, "Are you really sure you want to keep bringing these stickers?" And
Mhm.
she said, "Mom, this is not just a sticker." She said, "This is the Constitution, and that is always the hill I will die on."
Mm,
Yeah.
I like it.
So Lily, I noticed there's a little more to the sticker than "Let's Go Brandon." There's some smaller text on top. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate a little bit further on that?
Yeah, so anyway.
Do you
I
have a
get-
small sticker you could hold up to the screen?
Oh
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
So they asked her, they said, okay, you can still wear stickers, but you need to change the words.
And I said, okay, I promise to change the words. So my dad, my friend, and I decided on this. The Constitution guarantees my right to say, "Let's go, Brandon."
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Now,
and that's what she's been doing.
from someone who actually knows a lot about stickers, I can recommend that there are vinyl cling stickers that do not damage property. You can stick them right in the glass, and they're kind of reversed. They come on, they come off, and they're pretty flashy. So if you want to preserve the integrity of school property and still be able to put them up, vinyl cling stickers are the way to go.
Or if you
Oh,
want to
they'll
get from
expel me.
someone who knows nothing about stickers, you get yourself some 18 gauge steel and some big heavy 16 penny nails and just run it home. That does damage property. Don't do that, folks.
I won't.
But yeah, no, I like it, and it's so in the student body. What percentage would you say is amenable to your sticker thing?
Oh, I think it's about 50-50, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had talked to the office, I said she is doing this for popularity. She finally found friends. I don't think that's her primary reason.
No, I'm also
Because I
doing
think
this
she's
because I
advocated for herself very clearly about what her primary reason is. But I think that she unified a lot of people who were feeling really lonely and feeling really unheard and feeling like they really didn't have a place to go. And they were able to take a phrase such as "love is love." Their phrase happens to be "Let's go, Brandon." They were able to unify under that phrase and find each other under that phrase. And she was able to do something. She's one person, but she was able to do something for her school that they were not able to achieve on their own. Does that make sense? Just finding each other and finding that comfort. And I think when we look at the "Let's Go, Brandon" thing, you could arguably say that it's kind of a movement, that it means something different to every person that you ask.
Even our president likes to support it on Christmas.
He does.
It is
I heard
it's a
that.
huge movement.
But
It's
I
a big
think
deal.
to these students, a lot of them were feeling just so frustrated about the masks, so frustrated about all the rules that COVID had brought, all of the depression and the suicide. She actually had a student in her school who had committed suicide during 2020.
I'm
And I
sorry.
just think that it was just comforting to finally take out your aggression through a phrase that was still fun and upbeat, but it was making people smile. It wasn't aggressive. It was peaceful. It was non-swearing. I mean, if we tried to take out everything that mimicked a swear word, I mean, you'd be playing whack-a-mole for the rest of your life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe we should use a code word for the code word for a swear word.
Right. And
Yeah.
then maybe you could get away with it,
I
but
know,
only
it's like-
temporarily.
It's like frick instead of the F word. Like you're still, if you had the intention of saying a sharp word, it's still sharp.
Yeah. It's honestly, the teacher's issue with it is they've been educated out of intelligence, and now they are ideological constructs.
They have a narrative. They have to stick to it.
No, they
in order
want
to get paid.
They don't have to. They want to. The teachers who act this way are acting this way because they want to. That is their belief, and they've been educated that way. There has been long-term studies from back before I went to high school about the deficiencies in how we're teaching our teachers, and
Yeah.
they're set aside and they're taught an ideology, and they stick to it. So what I want to ask you is, sounds like for your last history class when you studied Columbus, was that on American history,
Yes.
or U.S. history, or global
US
history?
history.
It was U.S. history.
Yeah.
And they went back to Columbus for that. That would have been I mean, I guess that could cover both. You'd think that would have been a world history because that was a big world moment.
Geological U.S. history, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Columbus was part of the founding of the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's why we covered him.
Yeah, and Canada and Mexico and Brazil and
Mhm.
Ecuador and Chile. I mean, you could go on for quite a while. The founding of all of this. I mean, it's called Columbia over that area for a reason. But so, have they gotten to the Constitution on that and talking about that? And,
They talked quite a bit about the Constitution, the
Or
Bill of
did the-
Rights, because that's like, you know, you have to talk about that. That's
did
an
the
important
teacher
part
cover
of,
it well?
She had us memorize just the preamble, but
So
like she didn't cover a lot of the Constitution in deep facts. She just told us some basics. This is why she told us what we had to do, why there's laws, but she didn't like cover what is the meaning behind all this
Mhm.
and why did they feel like making these laws.
So she did the preamble, jump forward to the 19th, and then went on to the next subject. Is that how it went?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you as
You
a
know-
family? Do you as a family talk about the Constitution?
Always.
Yeah.
Because I remember
like it.
Mike Lee. A story about Mike Lee is, I guess when he was little, his father would always like bring up the Constitution around the dinner table, and they'd discuss the Constitution while they were in the car driving. So, you know, I mean, I guess that's how the start of brilliant minds seed is when your family's involved with these type of discussions. you
So
know?
we might be chatting with the future senator.
Maybe.
That I like to hear. And honestly, we need more people that are bold, that are strong, and that have a basis ideology that is honest and good. And I know it's sounds archaic to say, but you know, the thing about the Constitution and all that is it may not have always been met, but it is written to be the purest example of populist restrained government.
Mhm.
And yeah, we've never met it. We're still striving closer and closer, and you know, maybe the next iteration of our government will bring us there. This one's not, the last one's not, the one before that isn't, but maybe, you know, I mean, my favorite president, and maybe you could do a book report on him, is William Henry Harrison. He is the only president to never betray the Constitution. The only one
That's neat.
out of all of them.
I feel like when I was young, there was always like this letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and you had mentioned the Constitution, and there was this hand waving, like that's fictional.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the spirit of the law says you have a freedom to speech, you know, but that's not really true,
Yeah.
or that doesn't apply to this case. Which
Freedom
think-
of speech has its limits.
yeah, I mean that's what she was told by this person in the
Several
office.
people actually, including my third grade teacher, and that's when I started to question politics.
But I don't blame somebody who is growing up in 2020 to say, hold on. There is a letter to the law and we have to follow it, because she is a COVID kid, frankly. And it was during COVID where they're like, it's just masks. It's just 2 weeks to slow the spread. It's just, you know, and she has witnessed this moment in history where, you know, they've taken this letter of the law and they said, you should interpret it by the spirit of the law. It's just 2 weeks, you know, it's just not a big deal. And
It's
we
not
all
a
went
law,
with it
it's
and went with it.
It's
I
a
feel like I was
rule.
in jail, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I love my house, but I wanted to go out somewhere. And so, like, there's this one time we had a family vacation. We went to a park in Thanksgiving Point,
Oh yeah.
and we went under the caution tape. A couple of kids yelled at us, but we were like,
That's the point.
no
all
one
the
touched
parks- all the parks were like wound around in caution tape, you know? And so we go, okay, do we comply or do we refuse, you know?
Yeah.
And we said, okay, it says caution. That means take the risk unto yourself. And we said, we agree with that risk. And we said, go under the caution tape,
Yeah.
play. If we're all going to die of this pandemic anyway, then let's play while we're still alive.
Play cautiously.
Yeah.
You know, but I look at these, the way that they've encroached our freedoms at this time. And, you know, I think the only conclusion that she can draw from it is we should have backed this up. We should have backed this up, and we should have stuck to the letter of the law when we had the chance. We lost our chance.
Yep.
We lost our ground in that spot. We're never going to do that again.
Yeah, force the Congress and the Senate, or force even the state legislatures to write a law. Nothing comes across that governor's desk without them writing a law for it. And we need to enforce that. That's up to us. And if you have a state senator that isn't holding up to that, well, they're failing at their job. You know, here's another thing, a cool thing for next year in February, Black History Month. I would do a report on what Frederick Douglass said about the Constitution. I don't know if you've ever studied that, but
I've heard about him.
well, yeah, but he wrote about the Constitution in particular. He was a writer, a famous emancipated slave. But what he wrote about the Constitution, I think, is something that is he puts it into words magically. The best writing on the Constitution ever. And you know, do a story on that. Bring it to point, but do it within their guidelines. You know, find heroes where they expect you to find people to reinforce their ideas, but find your heroes where they don't expect you to.
And Lily, I hope, feel free to interject with your teachers when they bring up people like George Floyd. Don't be afraid to say, this guy is a criminal. Frederick Douglass is an artist and an articulate person who people can emulate.
It's a pretty
look up
amazing
to.
dude.
George Floyd, the fact that they're bringing him into the high schools makes me sick.
Yeah, that's there are even recent victims in that community that could be looked to, or recent heroes in that community, but you can tell they're pushing a message that is not a good one by the selection of their idols in this, I call it the new woke religion. And
Yeah.
and he is a saint in the religion, you know, Saint Floyd, and you know, he did his acts of penance, you know, whatever. And that's what we're looking at. This is it is the new religion that has replaced the old religion that has been pushed out. And I think that's where we're at. And so I think,
would agree.
yeah. But yeah, if you get the chance, it doesn't take long to read. I think it's 3 paragraphs, but read what Frederick Douglass said about the Constitution, and he lays it out well. Now, granted, the issue is us. We have failed to live up to it, and we have failed to force our government officials to live up to it. You know, when was the last time Congress declared war? There's a big
Yeah. And in my opinion, the place where we just cross the line in that sand is, you know, if a man doesn't get a poke, he
Yeah.
can't provide for his family.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody was just done.
What's
it was
a poke?
just done. When you take away, you know what I'm saying?
That's a red flag.
You're on YouTube.
Oh.
If you don't put chemicals into your body,
Yeah.
Oh,
then you're taking away a man's ability to provide for his family. And I think, like, by and large, everybody was just saying, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hasn't that gone away now, though? I mean, Putin cured the world of that.
Well, you should ask all of the people who are going to the doctor because they now have autoimmune disorders if it's gone away for them. You know,
It is,
and what
it
I
is
think
pretty
is,
crazy that page that Pfizer released of side effects.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
apologize. That 25 pages, 5 pages single space of which are side effects.
1,291 known side effects
It's
that the public was
insane.
not made aware of. You know, I take a look at that. And now when people are having these unknown symptoms, now, you know, post
Mhm.
They're unknown now.
post coke, okay, they're getting these symptoms. They said now doctors on boards are saying you need to try to test these people for AIDS and for HIV. And they're trying to relabel it. They're trying to call it vaccine induced autoimmune disorders, plural. And I'm like, we cannot let them rebrand what we know to be AIDS and HIV. I mean, if the public had been properly educated so that they could have made educated decisions about getting that. You know, the CDC said this is safe and effective, but they had no evidence, and people were assuming that that was a primary source because they
Yeah.
claimed it was safe and effective.
Or how about the
Now-
FDA?
Now the Pfizer is putting out the papers to actually give us the information,
And they had
whether
to
they're
be
safe
forced.
and effective.
They had to be forced in the courts to release those papers. They had scheduled those. The FDA had scheduled those papers to be released over the next 55 years.
Yeah, they were in litigation, I think, for 18 months.
And they
over
were
releasing
forced-
some of those Pfizer papers.
They were forced by the courts to say, no, you will release them over the next, like, what is it, 7 months? So what do they
Yeah,
have?
yeah. You know what? I think what we can probably assume, we'll see, time will tell. This is probably just the tip of the iceberg. 1,291 known side effects.
And these side effects were
they're
known.
probably just getting us ready
They
for
were-
the next batch.
They
And
were
they've been
known
working on their
prior to
COVID
the-
vaccines for a long time.
They were known prior to the FDA saying, yeah, okay, do it.
Right.
This paperwork from Pfizer is what the FDA was given to say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know.
I think the next batch of papers is going to be really, really interesting. I think we're in for some big surprises in
I
2022.
I think this is a sign that our government has run amok, and it is time to universally, as a people, scream, "You're all done." We need to get rid of all the bureaucracies. We need to, and I'm serious. I'm on a big push, and part of this hurts and it's hard, but I'm on a push. No incumbents, none, not a one. And just cycle them out and do that for 10, 15, 20 years until they recognize that I'm being sent here to do a task and then go back and work for myself, not to forever suckle on the teat of the populace.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm at. And I'm you know, because this happened. They allowed this to happen. And, you know, Fauci disappears. And, you know, lo and behold, Putin all of a sudden starts a war. Look over here, folks. There's something else going on to pay attention to. Yeah, tell me about it.
The footage they have is actually from like lots of video games and like
Yeah, the Ghost of Ukraine is a flight simulator.
Yeah.
The El Presidente standing there with all his weapons was from a photo shoot a year ago.
with a cardboard cutout of a gun.
Miss Ukraine, that picture was taken at an airsoft photo shoot a year or 2 years ago. Yeah, they're drawing us to war for something, and I think I think the populace is starting to see through them, and they want to keep that war footing alive, so they got to pump it up. You know,
I don't think America should be involved in this war, honestly.
man, I like this kid. Oh, tell Dave now. Tell Dave. Dave, listen.
America should not be involved in the Russia.
That is right.
I think they have a vested interest in their biolab, so I think that's debatable.
And I've also seen Ukraine is being supported by really weird people, like what's his name? That really
Trudeau.
rich guy.
Oh,
Yeah, Trudeau.
Oh,
George
good.
Soros?
George
Yeah.
Soros.
Soros.
Yeah.
We're drifting off into the weeds now.
Careful,
I know.
Lily.
Yeah.
Lily,
We
you're
are.
gonna get
Yeah.
me kicked off of YouTube. Just saying.
I'm so sorry.
But no, Lily, I like the way you think. Yeah, I like
She's a
it.
prankster. That's
Oh,
why she's a known prankster.
I think you
don't know,
need to
tell me
figure out
about April Fool's Day.
how to make what is that phrase that the other kids use in school? The love
Love is
something-
love.
Love is love.
Love
yeah.
is love. If you could make it that sticker, but so that it fades like over, I don't know, 4 days or something, fades into "Let's go, Brandon."
Well, I would like to see a sticker that says glitter is a respiratory hazard.
No, I know, safety guy,
Yeah.
and he would want to have all the little citations down at the bottom, and he's a safety guy. That's what he does. He's
Like, I thought we cared about respiratory, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no,
Occupational hazards.
that'd be awesome to see they running around with their sticker on their backpack. They throw it on one day, they don't notice it says something else, and
Yeah.
then their friend, I don't know what do they call each other, their person, they them,
Partner.
They them.
yeah, their partner, whatever, says, "Why are you wearing that sticker? I can't believe you." Gertrude, or I don't know if they change their names. I don't know.
My
Whatever it
gosh.
is.
When she told me that she wanted to bring stickers to school, I was like, I'm totally not surprised. Like, she's a total prankster.
I
Like, by
love it.
nature,
Mhm.
she's a she's
Are
does
you
so
making them
many-
yourself?
Oh.
No, she ordered them,
Really?
and she used her money. She did extra chores, and she
Wow.
ordered the first batch, and people loved it, and they just started giving her money,
Yeah.
and they just started buying stickers for her for Christmas, for this, for that. And yeah, I mean, like, she's been well supported.
What kind of-
honestly.
What kind of equipment would you need to make certain stickers? Like maybe one of them Cricut numbers, a computer, a decent printer. Maybe you could kick off a business, an
Yeah.
online order a sticker, like
Yeah.
patriotstickers.com or something.
I got my first ones from Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Then these Constitution ones from Zazzle.
Is it?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds
Yeah.
But maybe you could start your own business. It'd be something
That's
you
a good
build.
idea. I've been thinking about that for a while.
You get a Cricut, get stickers. You have patriotic stickers that you make on wholesale, and then people also can upload their image, and you could make them stickers.
I would stick with the speaking events, Lily. That's what you're good at.
Yeah, speaking
Let Jared
through
make your stickers for you.
And through my, I was told that I would be a great author,
Oh yeah.
and I want to write books about politics and fantasy. Some of my friends think I'm really weird because I love fantasy and politics, and they're like, "Well, politics are based on real facts. Fantasy is just, I don't know." Like,
Have you ever heard of Robert Heinlein?
no, I haven't.
All right, check him out.
Okay.
He wrote science fiction. What's that show called? The Space Marine show where they fight the
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. He wrote The Moon is a Cruel Mistress. He was a Democrat senator from California who was extremely conservative. Back in the 60s, Democrats could be conservative. I know, it's a little history. Extremely conservative. But check out his books. He would write science fiction, but in these science fictions, he would explore different political theories. So Starship Troopers was an exploration of Roman-style republicanism. The Moon is a Cruel Mistress is an exploration of Marxist-style communism. But yeah, check him out. And you could do stuff like that, definitely. And also, he was a senator, and I want to see you as a politician for at least one term for sure.
That'd be fun.
You guys are so kind.
Yeah, my mom was elected as a state delegate.
Good.
Very recently.
So
actually.
is this guy.
Hey, great. High five. Delegate club.
Yeah.
It was a very
So-
disappointing turnout for the delegates. I mean, they were begging people to be delegates, and
That's what
Well,
I heard.
I hope that because of, hopefully some of our mentorship and our leadership in our precincts, like, we can get more people out.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that'd be awesome.
Well, here's the problem. One, it's an off presidential year, but what I've been trying to drive home politically is that I want to see everyone vote for city council. I want to see 90% vote for mayor. I want to see 60% or 80% vote for county. and then I want to see, 60% vote for state office, mayor or governor and what have you. And then I would like to send a report, and this is of registered voters. I'd like to see a report that, only 40% voted for your congressman, and only, 30% voted for your U.S. senator, and like only 15% voted for president, because that would send a message to Washington that the 10th Amendment counts.
Oh,
Let us
yeah.
rule ourselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I really harp on vote local. I plan on voting local, and I still doubt I'm going to vote nationally that much.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is running candidates that we can actually put our reputation behind in our vote. I mean, that's
yes.
a lot of the people that I know that don't vote just say, how can I ever put my name on that? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
South Park had it right when they had the I don't know if you probably don't watch South Park, but they had the opposing candidate. It was in the school presidency or whatever school office, and they had a turd sandwich running against a lady hygienical device.
And you thought that was only fiction, and then it came true in 2020.
Not 22. That has come true every presidential cycle since the very first one. But seriously, and look up William Henry Harrison, best
Yes, sir.
president ever.
Maybe I'll just write that down real quick.
I know.
It'll be a quick
reference it.
report, Lily. Just put it that way.
I'll tell you. Okay, he
Write it in my notes.
was the last Whig elected. We got to cut you loose soon, but he was the last Whig elected into office. He was the oldest person ever elected into office, but to show his virility, he gave a long speech in the rain in February in Washington, D.C., caught pneumonia, fell into a coma, and died 34 days after being elected president. Best president ever. Didn't get a chance to ruin anything.
I didn't get a chance.
That's a good thing. But also,
Well said.
pneumonia is
What's
Yeah, too bad.
a bad way to die.
I think he probably inhaled some glitter.
that?
He caught COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but anyways, thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and it's inspiring to see someone who is knowledgeable, seeks answers, and you're bold. And
that's why
that.
we need our children to live.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I think about what about all the Lilies that could have been born that have,
Oh yeah,
but their
Been
moms,
aborted.
have been
Yeah.
aborted, and their mothers and fathers just weren't well informed and made a decision that could have changed the world. You could have had a Lily, but I definitely want to encourage families out there that think that, that what they're doing, the work in their home doesn't matter, because I'm like, look at how
It
much
does.
it matters.
Oh.
It really does matter.
We
Yeah.
have a lot of conversations. We have religious rituals and routines and stuff that we do as a family, and those discussions have really paid off. I go to the scriptures and I can find all types of historical accounts of what types of laws that kings had that made the people feel like they were under bondage, and what types of laws different kings had that people loved and honored them for. And I'm able to teach her like morals and virtues. And I think when we talk about backing the blue, that's the main bottom line, is that we want someone who is virtuous and holds so much integrity that they will keep their oath no matter what, and that their oath is to the Constitution.
yeah, and that seems to have fallen quite a bit the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The blue has fallen short. They have obeyed dictates and not laws, and not basic laws. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah,
is
we're
very
learning
scary.
about that this month in my house,
Yeah.
because of all the things that have transpired recently with
Yeah.
our buddy Mike at the
will
Salt Lake Senate building.
You've got my email. Will you send me a contact for him? I would like to reach out to him, and so just forward me back a contact. I'll reach out to him, see if he's willing to come on sometime,
Okay,
because
I will.
that is something I've been watching and looking at. I think that's very pressing that for a sticker he got thrown out of out of the state house for a vote. And I think that is, yeah.
A lot of people assumed that story is taken out of context, and it's not. I mean, there's 4 different videos for 4 different angles. I spoke to 10 witnesses personally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
anybody who hasn't
KSL
seen,
KSL is having a hard time spinning it.
yeah,
KSL is working their darndest to say, hey, how will this play in New York City right now? And they can't figure it out. They're like, well, he did the evil thing of peeling off the back of the sticker so the sticky side was, exposed, and put it on his chest. And don't put what the stickers say on there, I'm sure.
They just look so oblivious.
Yeah. So I go, sticker lives matter.
Oh. Next
and Lilly
sticker
is there defending these rights of these stickers.
Start your business, Lilly. I'm serious. Start selling awesome stickers. You got good sayings. Your mom's throwing out a few good sayings. Make it happen.
If you haven't seen the video about Mike, I'm pretty sure it's on the Facebook page for Jason Preston. Jason Preston is running for Congress, and you guys did a podcast with him. That was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
You guys also did a podcast with Evan McMullen. That was fantastic. I loved it. I think the work that you guys are doing is really, really cool. I really appreciate it.
I hope you guys get more views.
Yeah, we do too. One day, I think the problem is you've got an ugly guy and a shorter guy, and
I'm more deplorable.
You got a 13-year-old on this episode.
People should be judged by the content of their character, not their physical appearances.
I completely agree. See, another sticker. Bam.
There's Lilly.
Right there. Now, how do you convince the waffle-headed morons that populate this earth of that stuff? Anyways,
I will see you at state convention then. Won't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to be a party. I personally know over a dozen people who made state delegate, and the guy who made county delegate in my precinct. I was like, these are 2.
Yeah.
I mean, this is awesome. There's just no way that this can go wrong. I mean, at least in my precinct, I think we're just in great hands.
Right. And good news, we have on the show, we had Allie Isom. We had an interview with her, and we just posted Mike Lee's interview.
Yep, we chatted with Mike Lee at the Lincoln dinner.
So you'll be able to.
You guys are on fire.
That's so cool.
You guys are on fire. Good job, you guys.
You have plenty of material to research your candidates with from our website if you're interested in doing that.
Yeah. We're gonna keep trying to drive home. We definitely want to give everybody running a chance, even if we disagree with them. We want everyone on. We want them to all have a chance. The issue is, and I'll do this to even people I like, I will call you out if I think something's going on that's fishy. But I am not a party member. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Technically an anarchist. And so I can call.
Were you in those Black Lives Matter protests last year?
I am a anarcho-capitalist.
I see.
It's a different type of anarchist. It's an anarchist that believes in pure capitalism, believes in freedom, and it believes that the Constitution's a good idea when you stop at the 18th. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good idea when it is applied properly, but we think that I think that you got to let people live their own lives and let whatever comes out of that come out of that, as long as they're not hurting someone else. And when you try to force this arbitrary top down or whatever, you've got to bake a cake for these people because it might hurt their feelings. I think that's stifling. Let that business die on the vine if it's going to die on the vine, or if it's going to succeed, let it succeed. Let people move about and pursue happiness.
Yeah.
And special announcement to our show audience. This Thursday, we're going to do an additional show. We do have Chris Stewart on. Yep. He's going to talk about the Ukraine crisis. And,
Congressman Chris Stewart. Yeah, he's going to be coming on Thursday. So that one might get spicy because I'm with Lilly. I think we need to stay out of it. There's nothing to be won over there. And when we go to war, we lose liberty. And it's happened every time we've gone to war. Yeah. So, but anyways, thank you guys for coming on. Lilly, you're fantastic. You're awesome. And I am going to email you my address. I want a sticker.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy.
That'd be fantastic. I like it. I really like it. I hope your family gets better. Mom and Dad, I got to thank you both for raising a smart young lady.
I'm really proud of her. I feel like I can die happy.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like she's brought honor to our family, and
She has.
you know, a lot of people call it stubbornness, and I say, oh no, you don't know my Lily. It's determination.
Yeah, she's the real Mulan. You know,
She's
she saw a gap that needed to be filled, and she filled it.
yeah,
And
I'm proud of her.
I dig it. I really dig it. And when I say the real Mulan, I don't mean the live action modern one. I mean the actual
Or
story. Of
transgender.
it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on. You know, I hope we can well, keep the lines open. Let's keep the communication open. Keep us updated on what's going on. We
you.
definitely need to get our schools we need to get our schools at least bipartisan. You know, get them under control that way, to where if they're going to try to control what you're doing, let's hope they at least try to control explicit actions that are happening in the hallways. And
Mhm.
I don't understand the glitter
Yeah.
bomb. Is it a Tinkerbell thing? What else is
I don't know. I just told her, you know, she's like, Mom, what if I get lunch detention? Mom, what if I was like, the worst that can happen is that you would come home and I'd actually give you a real education.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Good
do you have
point.
to lose?
It's a good point.
know?
And keep waking up kids, because hey, let's face it, my generation, we already messed this country up. My dad's generation messed it up. The generation directly behind me messed it up. I'm sorry. We gave you guys a bowl of poop, and you're going to have to figure that out, but keep educating kids, because that's the only way it gets figured out.
Yeah.
She told me once that she felt like her life mission was to restore the Constitution.
Ooh.
And I said, wow, that's really interesting. She said that out loud in a public place, and her friend was like, oh, I feel like that's my mission in life
Yeah.
too. And
Good.
her father was in the military currently. And so I thought, how many other children are like Lily? Right?
Yeah.
If parents would be bold in
Yep.
speaking in their homes. I mean, when we talk about being pro small government, I was like, the smallest government that you can have is in the home, or even
Mhm.
self-governing, right? Self-governing what we will and we won't do, and what virtues we will grow in ourselves, and which things we won't. And then after that, it's the family. And once we can govern well, we need to take that banner of liberty and take it out to the world. I think, in my opinion, politics is nothing more than just taking your moral beliefs, wherever they come from, and then putting them into the petri dish of society and seeing what comes of it, you know, how they turn out.
I think that's how it should be. I think right now, according to a majority of our politicians, politics are, how can I get ahead of the laws to make sure I get wealthy off my investments? But just saying,
That's why things have to change, and
Yeah.
that's why some new delegates have been elected, and I think that will help.
Yes. And hey, these kids. So keep it going. You're doing outstanding stuff. I'm going to send you my address. Pop a couple stickers in. We'll buy them. We're good with that.
Lily, are you going to be at the stated convention as well?
Yeah. I'm thinking about going.
Okay.
Good.
I would
I wanna
love
learn-
to just include her in
Yeah.
all of the stuff I do as
No.
I
a
want to
delegate.
learn how the government works. I
Mhm.
want to know good laws and bad laws.
When are you
I've
guys
been interested
moving?
since first grade or third grade.
When are you
and-
guys moving up here?
I don't know.
I don't know. We have land in that area. So
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, the mayor of Grantsville would really like to meet you.
That's kind of you to say.
No, I'm serious. He would. He would. He's starting up a youth council right now, so he knows what's going on with the kids. So.
Oh yeah,
fun.
she's in youth
Yeah.
council.
Good.
Yeah, in our city out here. So right now, a lot of what they're doing is just like selling tickets, you know, if there's an
Mhm.
orchestra show or a play or something, and they're handing out pamphlets. But what I wish that they were doing with it is teaching children how to become candidates, how
Yeah.
to think for
Oh,
themselves,
yeah.
how to prepare a platform,
Oh,
how
yeah.
to, you know, I think that they
Find
could
a
be doing more.
project and tackle it, things like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
you ladies have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
your
you.
dad for us. Lily, you're a testament to your parents. You
Thank
really
you.
are.
And stand by to end the recording, and